start with 3 Omkars. Om. 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 Om Shri Sai Ram. Swami, you're the one talking through us. You're the one listening through us. Thank you for gathering us all here and reading your scripture. And please help us understand your message better. Om Shri Sai Ram. Sai Ram, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday. For people who have joined us for the first time, a very warm and hearty welcome to all of you from Region 5. And for people who have joined back, thank you for your consistency, and your consistency is greatly appreciated. Thank you. With this, we would love to start this session with a brief recap of what we have learned in the past few episodes, and we'll just go through that slowly, and then we'll move on to our session forward today. Like, if you're aware, we actually started the very first episode in December 2023. The first episode was titled The Modern Arjuna, where we identified the Arjuna within ourselves. And our biggest learning there was to watch our complaints, was to see how we can curb and how we can reduce and understand that, and try to work on reducing our complaints, our weeping, to say. Right, that is what started this beautiful series, and that's what even happened for ages back for Bhagavad Gita. That's when Arjuna was that was his last resort, and from understanding this, from understanding our complaints, trying to reduce that, watching our complaints, the next step was becoming a student. That led to episode 2, where we understood that surrender cannot be our last resort, where we have done everything else, done our fair share of complaining and getting like irritated and all that, and then at the end thinking if at all we are able to see surrender as a last resort. But instead of that, we wanted to understand and learn that surrender should be our very nature, and we should be beginning with that and not like reaching there at the very end, if you are able to reach there at all. So, like I said, from the very first episode was where we understood to watch our complaint to see how we can curb it, to the second episode where we are trying to where we learned how to surrender and how to respond to a situation better. That led to our third episode. Where we learned that our reaction to a particular situation may not be the situation itself, but how we perceive that situation. So that is when we understood, and we tried to from Swami's teaching and all the discussion that and Dr. Suresh Govind so beautifully led us last time, was to understand how we can view the same situation through a different lens and try to understand it better and make our reaction a better one. And that led to the fourth episode, which was Knock Out Your Own Challenges, where we understood that step by step, taking practical examples from our volunteers and facilitators here. And we try to look at the same situation at different levels, where the very first one was the very physical level that we had, and then at an intellectual level, and then going a little bit deeper and trying to understand it from an Atmic level. And that led to our fifth episode, which we had last time, which was understanding the nature of Atma. And we had a beautiful workout, the breakout sessions that we did, where we worked out our different features that is mentioned here. We had a beautiful audio clip for each of the attributes of the Atma that is mentioned here. And I personally received so many different messages from the different the breakout rooms that it was lovely to share after the call. And the very first one is eternal, like you can see here. And today's episode, we'll do a deep dive on that. Before that, we want to share the small messages that Uncle had shared last time. Atma being eternal is something that was explained that it is here to stay, it is here forever, and that the body is not permanent, but the Atma is. And that's the very first thing that comes to our mind when we think of Atma, right? It is here forever. And today's episode will help us understand that even better. The next nature that we came to was unmanifest. That is the potential that the Atma has that has not yet manifested, right? That is the next nature of the Atma that we read was unmanifest. And then comes the indestructible, the infinite strength that we have, or the nature that, like, we get flustered and get worried so easily, but later on that we understand it's only because we are acting at a physical level. It's only when we distance ourselves from the situation and think that the actual Atma inside is indestructible. Nothing can touch that, right? That is the next nature that we learned about. The one after that was immeasurable, which one, this is the one that we discussed at length after we returned to the main session from our breakout, where Uncle explained about the immeasurable strength, that the limitless strength that our Atma has. And then comes the immovable, which is the stability, the lack of, when we sometimes we are in a situation where we are not able to understand what to do, we get flustered, we get indecisive. But if we again go to the deeper level and try to connect to our conscious, to our Atma, we would be able to find the actual answer and make a decision. And that is always stable or immovable, as Uncle explained. That leads us to the current episode that we will be doing is for the immeasurable one that we did last time. We have the audio here to for everyone, because last time it was done in one breakout session, so we missed out on the audio. So I'm going to play it for all of us here, and then we'll move on to our breakout session.
One of the other qualities of the Atma is immeasurable. What does it mean? The sky is blue, the sea is blue. What does it reflect? Infinite. Infinite. So when I am with my Atma, or when I'm connected to my Atma, what does it mean? An incredible surge of inspiration. Immeasurable. I have immeasurable strength, immeasurable enthusiasm, my immeasurable passion, immeasurable abilities and capabilities. There will be no limitations to my capabilities and talents. So if I can get in touch with my Atma, and Atma gives me that energy, that enthusiasm, that capability, my God, why should I ever be sad? Why should I ever be depressed? Why should I always say give up? Why should I say let me see? Why should I give 100 excuses? Because if I am with my Atma will power me to give and commit to the best of the things and give the highest fulfillment and fulfill every obligations in the world today. Don't you think what a wonderful life we can live if we are with our Atma?
So that was the message, where we convert our can't do to can do. And we challenge ourselves, we push our limits, we try to achieve what we have thought is not achievable for us, right? With this, we would like to go to our breakout rooms, to our small discussions, as this was our homework for last time. We are eagerly waiting for all of us to share our experiences. And once we come back to the main room, we'll discuss our stories here and then continue with the eternal attribute of the Atma in this session. Hi Ram, everyone. Welcome back to the main session. And thank you everyone who shared their experiences in a breakout room. That was really beautiful. Before I start, I want to call upon a few other facilitators in the other breakout rooms. If anybody wants to share something. And then we can, I have one experience in my breakout room as well. We'll share that once we cover the others. Anybody else want to volunteer first?
You can
I
go
can
ahead, actually.
volunteer my breakout room. So Sanjay was taking notes, and Sanjay was like trying to consolidate all the information in my breakout room. So Sanjay,
Nice.
do you want to share everything like really quick?
Sure.
No.
Yeah. So we had several group members share their difficulties throughout the week. We started, of course, just listing what it was kind of on our mind that we were seeing was a difficult thing, and I guess I don't need to share names, but what do you think? Maybe it'd be better to share names. So
Let's not share names. Just
Better to maintain privacy.
Yeah.
privacy. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
privacy.
Okay. So we had one of our members shared that she found out that organizing her team was difficult. So she felt like her mind had been hijacked and didn't know what it was, why organizing her team was difficult. She had taken on a new role at work, so she found that was kind of new and challenging at the same time for her. Then someone in our group said, okay, there are a lot of people who have to take care of things, and if they're not done in a certain way, it becomes unethical. So taking over someone else's job, you have to do whatever's needed to move on. Trying not to look at what other people are doing, just looking at myself, analyzing myself. That was her stance. She also felt, okay, work ethics, work in the the dynamic can lead to hopefully better things, but still not 100% sure what she was feeling. She didn't know if she is doing the wrong thing. Another group member shared that usually she's able to be warm to people. She says, people in my frequency, I can talk to people out of my frequency or out of my world. So those are two very distinct kind of feelings we have. On the one hand, oh yeah, everyone I understand, I can talk to, but anyone who's not that, I can't talk to them at all. So they're out of my interest, so how can I be happy within? And then so we had a member share that taking an actionable strategy was kind of used to keep things from working, kind of the way that they hoped it would go. Like he said he tries to stay away from sweets, so that's hard for him. So he is using the ice cream kind of in his freezer to kind of to keep the kind of like stay away from that. So okay, so trying more than once a week was his goal. So that was the way he was tackling the problem. But if everyone has to bank on you to get through it, how do you? So that was kind of the struggle he was in overall. So, and then he used the ice cream metaphor. And then we had a group member say they were very passionate about their work, but then that seemed to fall off and they lost momentum. And then we discussed, after a moment, what it was like to come up with, like, how do I get past this? And so steps to work through it. And I can go into that too. But those were the problems that we stated that we were going through, the difficulties that we're going through, and the overwhelming feelings too that we shared.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, brother.
Jay.
Sairam, anybody else? If not, Sister Lena, she was in my breakout room and she had a lovely experience for Aradhana Day that she wanted to share. Sister, do you want to go ahead?
Sure, Sairam. So last week we had the Aradhana Day function in our center. So first I got a dream. Showing that some of my sisters were actually doing some of the seva, and then so they were very happy that we all came. And we were there for helping. And then what happened was, and though they were very excited that I was also there, but I couldn't really help them in terms of helping, because that was sieving, and then the cloth and everything. I didn't know any of that. So so though I was there, I was not able to help. And then my dream ended, and then I was saying, Swami, I was there to do your service, but if I don't know how is that I'm going to help? And then there was an inner prompting to make a garland for Swami. And then I really don't know. I've not picked up a needle and then put any flower or anything that. And then I was just contemplating in terms of whether should I ask some of the sisters to do it, because there's the inner edge. It was coming on, and then that we have to do a garland. And then my kids had a start test on that day, and then I asked, every time that we do say that that we have to surrender to Swami, then everything. And then I asked one of my younger son, what is that? What happens to you when you surrender? And he said, I get self-confidence. And somehow that I felt that that's exactly true, and that's a self-confidence that I needed as well. When Swami is asking something and then I'm just not able to do, then I just told Swami, I also surrendered to you. I don't know how to do it, what to do it. But then if you are okay to, you putting a garland, that I make it, and then if you're fine to see it the same way, and then I am just okay as well, right? So it's starting from the needle, the thread, everything, wherever we went, everything was to a point that people were ready to help us, and then just paving a way for us. And to the fact that I was thinking some other flowers which were very easy, so that for a first timer that that it would work out. But I didn't get what I wanted, right? It was just that they were bringing something from inside. They said, this is what we have, and then the colors that they were giving is what I had to choose. And I realized that all my cloth that the putta that I was actually trying to put for Swami's altar down, with what I was planning, I had the only one left, because we took the car for servicing and they were not giving it for 3 days. And that was the exact color that the flower that Swami chose was the exact color of the same cloth piece that I was going to use. And to top of all that, and then Swami came in a dream to another sister and just said, I am coming for Aradhana Day function to your center. So it was Swami who wanted to give me a chance to do something which I am not used to it, but then be self-confident, be my side, and pick up what he wants to do it, and then choose the colors that he wanted to put it on himself. And everything just worked out so well that I wouldn't have done myself unless and until that Swami wouldn't have prompted. And this was a big, it was an assurance, though I know Swami was always with me, but it's just that to make it happen in a way that he wanted, I think, even for my kids or myself, and I think that shows that we can do it. If Swami is by our side, I can really do anything that Swami guides me to and wants me to. And this is what I wanted to share. Thank you, Saira.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Sairam. Sister Chitra, you want to share something from your breakout room?
Sure, Sairam, thanks. Great. We had a great discussion in our group with various stories. Just to keep it short, I'll say, I think we recognize the importance of relying on Swami as much as possible, and different experiences of, maybe not always, even in the mundane to very serious health things, how we have reached out to Swami. So that was the overall feeling. And then when there were a few specific examples of when participants had actually relied on Swami, that they got more self-confidence, and then looking back, with hindsight, saw that while the thing that they had wanted to happen didn't occur the way they thought, when they looked back, everything happened in a beautiful way. So in other words, trusting Swami and getting over time, if you keep trusting Swami, then you'll gain more and more and more confidence in relying on him. So I thought that was really nice. The one question that we discussed for brother and Uncle Suresh Govind is, what is nothingness and what is oneness? Are they different or similar? And how? So we would love to hear him address that question.
What is nothingness and what is oneness? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll come to that maybe after Sister Advaita shares. Is that okay?
Sure. Salam, everyone. So we had a wonderful session and people identified their limitations. That was, it was all over the place. Someone was having fears, like, when they were asked to do kayaking, they were like, that fear got the better of them, but then they were able to get through that fear. And or some had this fear, like after getting into an accident, like, you won't be able to drive longer distances and all. And again, they overcome that challenge and all. Some of them, I think one of the participants is still struggling because their mother is sick in India, and it's hard. How do you navigate through this? There's all sorts of emotions coming up. So how do you keep yourself strong through all of this? And then someone talked about the food habits, like, wherever you're going, whether it was SSSIO functions or the functions, they want to eat more. And so there's a constant fight between your head and, you're not supposed to do it. There's the voice of conscience, but then still the mind just says, like, okay, one more can't harm you, something like that. So the question was then, how do I overcome this tussle, and yes, we had people give some advice also, but then the question was for him was like, if he had specific advice to control the mind. I think ultimately it comes down to, how do you control the mind is the biggest obstacle, and so how do you overcome the promptings of your mind, like, you can do this, you can do that, and all the distractions that the mind lays out in front of you. And I think one of our participants had like this, usually having this big goals, whether they were realistic or not. And but then I think what he realized was that if he sets realistic goals, like short doable goals, then it's easier to get there, rather than just trying to take that leap, and then if that doesn't happen, then you're feeling all down and low and all. So then I think he knew how to overcome that. That is having these realistic, smaller expectations and goals. And I think that's all I have. Saira.
Sairam. So Sairam uncle, so we have this one question that Sister Chitra posted. Can we hear something from you? It's about, sorry, go ahead.
Sairam. By the infinite grace, love, and compassion of the Lord, it's beautiful to be in this satsang. So if you look at the physical, the demarcations are there. Physically, we're all separated. They are discrete entities, and that is separation, there is segregation. Mentally, there is also that separation, because we have an emotional feeling of something, we have an emotional attachment to something. So this also creates divisions and diversions. Then intellectually, we also can be separated, because we can have our own intellectual opinion about something, and then somebody else can have something else. All this separates. But when we actually go to the Atmic level and experience that oneness, we are moving away from everything. We are moving away from what ideas, we are moving away from concepts, we are moving away from ideology. There's a homogeneous seamlessness in which there is no reference point to that particular experience. So there's absolutely an experience of nothingness, because you're not attached to anything. You're floating in that whole experience of nothingness. It is in this nothingness that is everything is inside this nothingness. Because Baba said that the most important thing is to understand in the tiniest of the tiny, in the vastest of the vast, we need to understand there's a pervasive, overarching, incredible Atmic energy or energy that is prevailing all over the place. So that is the realization, and it is only in that realization this oneness can be experienced. So, so more and more spiritual we become, more and more oneness we will achieve. More and more differences we will squash. More and more all this, all these squabblings and all that, we'll move away from those things, and we'll see it in a light in which there is greater harmony and peace. So it's all moving away from these differences. That's only can be achieved in meditation or only in achieving in connectivity. So today you see many of them expressed all what they said. It's the challenges that they're coming towards it. We have this goal to reach. So then how to reach that goal? We have to reach that goal. So then you tap the immeasurable Atmic quality that I need to reach the goal. I cannot be stopped. Then it itself gives you the navigation to create the steps of the smaller steps to take you to reach to that goal. You see, everything comes back to it if we are experiencing that that oneness with our own self. So if you don't look at that and you focus only on that particular goal, you'll find that you will be hampered, or you will be sad, you'll be depressed, because you do not know how to reach that goal. And then you'll get so you'll be so caught up in the mind level that we cannot explore and cannot innovate and cannot be creative. All that aspects come from our inner self. So what you experience today and what others have spoken today are all the challenges that everyday experience is. One, I don't know, Sister Anusha, you want to narrate your experience? I thought that was a very beautiful experience. That will sum up the immeasurable attitude that you possess.
Sairam, I purposely waited because I was worried if there was time, but I'll be happy to share. 2 weeks ago, I was in a car crash. This was a head-on collision. It was very, traumatizing. The car was totaled. I was with my son. I still get tremors. The PTSD was terrible, right? Because the impact was very severe. The adrenaline keeps you for that few hours, but the next day is when it really hit me that, I couldn't get myself, I couldn't wrap my mind around what happened. I was guilt that I had my son with me. Is there anything I could have done? I was worried about the person in the other car. It was just, I truly said, I don't think I can drive anymore. I don't think I can do this anymore, but I had to disengage myself, because I knew that entire week I had this very off feeling. That entire week I had a very off feeling. And I was continuously chanting Sai Gayatri that entire week. For some reason or the other, it was, there was some warning that kept coming back to me. I really couldn't put a finger on it. But then after that incident, the very next day is when I really started to, I know I had to overcome this. It is not that I'm going to sit at home and not do anything. I have to do something about getting over this, this feeling of trauma, right? I had to disengage myself. I had to see, okay, why, rather than questioning why, I had to first think about what am I grateful for, right? What is it that, Swami is teaching me through this? So I started doing the Ho'oponopono prayer first. I did it multiple times with myself, to forgive myself, first of all. And then I also prayed for the other person who was in the other car, and I also kept that, it was a young boy. So I kept that boy's mom, because I had my child. I know that boy had a mom. So I kept all 4 of us in our prayers. I had to let go, and I said, this is definitely some karma that Swami wanted to, get rid of at that time. And that is truly the only reason that I could wrap get myself to forgive, saying that at that point, all I had was a scratch. If you see my car, you would understand, but it is totaled. Yes, I'm grateful to be sitting here and talking, but at the same time, it always grounds me. It put my whole thing into perspective. I had to tap into that immeasurable quality. That entire week, I had to remind myself that this is just, something that is happening, like almost like a drama scene, right? It is just like a scene that is happening and I am going to get over it. And, it is something that Swami is shielding me from something much, much bigger and much, much worse. I'm glad to be here and telling the story, but I wanted to remind everyone that I'm grateful for every day that Swami has given me and to do his work. I think Uncle also, talked to me and he told me that it is truly a way that Swami has guided me and, just shielded me from whatever it was. So thank you.
What about that vibhuti?
Yeah, so the car was totaled and, they took the car away. So we had to go and get all the things from my car. I was, of course, maniacally crying and I was emptying everything from the car and I always have a packet of vibhuti. And as I was emptying, this whole packet of vibhuti just burst all over the car. Literally, I was covered in vibhuti, the entire seat, everything was just covered in vibhuti. Maybe that's what Swami was reminding me, that's what you would be, so just be grateful. So, but it's okay. It's just happy. It's behind me. And, but I am so grateful for satsangs like these that equip us with such knowledge, or else I don't think I would have gotten that level, that level of, to get over something like this. So I'm grateful to be in all your company, Saira.
Are you driving back now?
Yes, yes.
So, see, dear brothers and sisters, see, this is a very beautiful experience in the sense that when you are actually in this experience, it's not that nothing will happen to you, but it is how you respond to whatever that happens to you is spirituality in action. So you can say, you can read the Gita sloka, Atma is indestructible, Atma is immeasurable, Atma is eternal, and keep on chanting, memorizing and everything else. And then when you go through an experience like that, this is decapitated from your memory and you do not have the ability to recall these remedies that we should do. But in sister's case, what she did was when the experience took place, she had the awareness of this and she stood from the platform of that Atmic level and managed to see that experience from a distant view and then be able to go through. Otherwise, sometimes this PTSD and the traumatic experience, you can find months later only you may be able to drive. It may take a long time to go through. But the fact that you're able to do that quickly and fast and bounce back into life is a testimony of the fact that Gita's, Krishna's statements must literally be lived. This is what it is. It's not about not having problem. It's how you face the problem and how you tap your immeasurable energy and enthusiasm and come back to it quickly. So this is a beautiful experience. And the fact that to quickly connect, see, the connecting point is gratitude. Worse things could have happened, but luckily the car is gone, written off, but nothing happened to both of them. And then the vibhuti vibhuti what distribution there in the car. All this is invisible hand that is touching everybody's life. So this is what immeasurable means. It's not in looking at the problem, staring at it and feeling down, but looking at the problem and tapping your inner resources to overcome all these present problems. So that's a beautiful way. And that's how spiritual people should live in this world. Not to complain, not to be down, and just that's what many people are doing. But we have the rare ability to come back again. If you really look like that, the Pandavas had many reasons to complain also, isn't it? We were all there and these people manipulated the whole way. We are now thrown out 14 years ago to go to the forest. My God, we had terrible time. What a miserable time. You go to Sri Rama, my God, he will complain. If he wants to complain, he has got many. I was going to be a king tomorrow. Do you know that? You know what's my biography? I was supposed to be the king of Ayodhya. They didn't allow me to do that. Next day, they banished me into the forest. Hi. And then I decided I wanted to go with Sita and go there, but no. They never allowed me that. Lakshmana also had to follow, you see, and spoiled the beautiful romantic. See, the point is, if he wanted to complain, there are many, many reasons why he should complain. But in every circumstance, how he responded to each situation is what makes a spiritual person spiritual. That's what this whole Gita is for, the direct application of that. So when we are explaining each quality, you have to tap into that quality and say immeasurable means, oh, I must have infinite thing. Oh, I must have. That empowerment is to yourself. So I'm very glad that I didn't say this, but all of you said this, and this is very beautiful. So we talked about Atma, but you related that to Baba, and that is exactly what it is. So when you go back to it, everybody talked about how you relate to Swami. So actually, that for us, we have a personification of that Atma in the form of our own Guru, who is the avatar. So we have a beautiful way of relating to the teacher, because the teacher is right inside us. So it's a nice combination of not only having the philosophical idea of what Atma is, but also having a personification experience of our teacher within us. I think that is the twin benefit of our involvement with Swami and the organization. So this is immeasurable. Is there anything else, sister? Any other experiences? Anusha? Aside that? No. Okay. So now we go to the next part, I think.
Yeah, I think we can go to Aditya's. Salam Advaita.
May I share something quickly?
Sure.
You know, like sister said, the Vibhuti packet opened up in a car. It's the power of Vibhuti. Long time ago, when I was still working, I was an interventional radiologist, and a pathologist used to come down when I would do a biopsy to make sure I had enough specimen. And this was in late 80s or early 90s, when being gay was, no. And this pathologist was a gay man. I heard he was sick, so I went to see him. And I saw, he had reduced from being a 160, 170-pound man to like 130. He was like a little child in his boyfriend's lap. It was so sad for me to see him. So a few days later, I looked around in my packet and I found one packet of Vibhuti that Baba had given me a couple of years earlier, and I had not been back there. This packet of Vibhuti had no fragrance left, but I thought I would take this for this pathologist friend of mine. So I went up there to the hospital where he was admitted. As soon as I entered the door of his room, the whole room was filled with the fragrance of jasmine and Vibhuti. This packet that had no fragrance at all suddenly became like radioactive. It was amazing. And I can never forget that sense. So I didn't know.
You're muted, sister.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So I went into the room and I talked to him. I said, come rest. And he lay down on the bed. I held his hand. And so I just, in those days, people didn't talk about death. We know he was going to die, but you never said you're going to die. Don't worry. So I tried to talk in a different way. He had a son. I said, don't worry about anything. God will take care of him. Just be peaceful and restful. Whatever will happen, you'll be good. So I was holding his hand and I thought he had fallen asleep. After about half an hour, 45 minutes, I thought he was asleep. I tried to take my hand out of his hand and leave. He quickly grabbed my hand and said, don't go, don't go. This is the first time I have slept in 3 weeks. This was the power of Vibhuti.
Oh, power.
After that, I waited some longer when I felt he had fallen completely, and I quickly left. Then he called me home a few days later and thanked me so much that he was peaceful. And then a few days later, he passed away. So it was all Baba's Vibhuti that had this powerful impact. And he used to always give me extra Vibhuti and telling others who were in the room, in the interview room, so that they won't feel jealous. She's a doctor. She cares about her patient. She's a very good doctor. Give me extra Vibhuti. And I thought that Vibhuti was meant for other people who need it at their time of their crisis. And for I have such a vivid, this picture of what happened that day and the fragrance and everything. So this was also Baba's indirect way of, opening up Vibhuti packets, scattering in Sister Anusha's, car, I think. Saira.
Thanks. Very nice story, sister.
Thank you.
Okay. So, second part.
Sairam, everyone. So I think we've really explored the aspect of immeasurable. Now let's go to the eternal aspect of Atma, and that is creating a lasting impact. So last month, as Sister Saidata said, we broke out into different groups to discuss the different aspects, right? And we asked the participants how these qualities of eternal, after hearing Brother Suresh's audio, how they could relate to their everyday lives. So taking input from that, as well as having these pre-satsangs with Brother Suresh, we made the following slides. So, the subcategories I would say for this topic of eternal is thinking about the greater good, leaving a legacy behind, and sustainability. And while these are all interrelated, you cannot really put them into watertight compartments. It just feels like, talking about each step, like as if they're the steps of a stairs, If we discuss this, then I think it's more easier to understand and just to for our understanding, but then I think we cannot really separate it out. And so let's talk about the first step, that is thinking about the greater good, or thinking about the benefit of more than one, or most of the people, if not all, right? So when we are doing things for the greater good, right? So one of the participants from last session said that, it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're continuously trying to improve on yourself. And for that, definitely, you have to be fully present, right? You have to do it from your heart. But then you cannot be attached to the outcomes, right? Or it could be as simple as breaking free from negative beliefs or negative habits. Like one of our participants was saying, like he was trying to get away from eating a lot of food, but still there was this the mind coming in between, right? So what choices do you make now? Or one of our participants talked about ancestral traumas, like things that have happened with our ancestors and is still continuing with us today, right? I can just say that my mom she was not encouraged to enter the kitchen, unlike our other sisters. There were many sisters, but she wasn't encouraged to do so. And she was very happy with that. She did the same to me, I wasn't encouraged. And so I was very happy with that, until I came to this country where I could not rely on frozen foods anymore. I was gaining weight. And the first few months, an old elderly couple, they cooked meals for me, and until they announced that they were leaving the country, and I had no choice but to call up my friends and ask for recipes or look up YouTube, and I had to study and all of that. And so now I'm like, okay, with my kids, they are pretty young, but I invite them to the kitchen, making it fun, encouraging them, so that now when they grow up, they're not terrified of entering the kitchen, right? So this is our chance to just change the choices. But then to do this, I want to tie it to the 5Ds that Baba lays down, like the determination and the dedication, duty, discipline, discrimination. Ours is a very small center and we started our SSE last year. But then, to keep that going every week, to give that continuation to these 5Ds is what takes a lot of our strength and our input and our determination, right? So how do you do that? So you have to rely on that Atmic principle, right? And so, and so after this, so when you're thinking about the greater good and then continuing week after week or even day after day with all of this, then it's definitely not easy. But then we reach the next leg, that is leaving a legacy behind. So in our last discussion, people named various superstars, I would say, and Baba was one. They would always say, Baba is always present for us. We always tap into that eternal energy, or whenever we face some difficult circumstances, he's always ready to connect to us, so many people talked about him, and then many others gave examples of Swami Vivekananda or Adi Shankaracharya or Abraham Lincoln, or even the sports players. And we do not go that far, to people who have made a big impact on the world arena. You just think about teachers when you were in school, and they made an impact. they had this charismatic personality, you know, they had that, they were always the sweetest and the nicest. Not that they were not strict, but there was something about them, you know, that made them stand apart. And I can tell you that in a very simplest form, we had when I was in Iowa, we had an old auntie at a Sai center. And one day I was like feeling pretty low about something. And I don't know why, she just called me to discuss some other topic. And I never told her like I was feeling bad or something. But then after we had this conversation and we hung up, I was like, that sadness just dissipated, you know. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be like her. You know, what is that magic about her? So that character about some people is just there. And I think Baba has given us this watch to take care of, right? You watch your words, like what is coming out of your mouth, the tone with which you speak, what kind of actions you're involved in, what kind of thoughts we entertain, what kind of entertainment we watch, and the purity of the heart. I think they all work in harmony to create your character, such that even though you might not be doing something like really big, but still people remember you, you know, and so you're leaving that legacy behind. And one of our participants had talked about one of her friends who she thought was like always in a state of equanimity, and whoever she approached, you know, she said that person would say that I always look at the soul of that person. And so, you know, so after Baba, I think he is a big inspiration for her. And also that you know, she says that I may not be able to love all, but just by you know, getting that inspiration from it, I try to accept people as they are, you know, and that is my one step towards loving all. And so that created that eternal, he's always there. Whenever she thinks about equanimity, she always thinks about that person. And then finally, we talk about sustainability. And this is not just sustaining the 5Ds, but now you're going beyond that. And that is, how do we sustain, if we have started a program or an activity, how do you keep it going even in your absence? Or if you've switched to a healthier habit, right? Like you're reducing your snacks, or you're not munching on chips, but now maybe you're eating nuts instead, just giving an example. But then how do you be consistent with that? Because for the first week or second week, you're all excited, and you know, you might have like friends say, okay, encourage you. But then after some time, that you know, you get bored, and like you don't find any more fun in that. So how are we able to sustain our actions, like the authors sustain the whole program? And then I think what I feel is like, you know, as I told you, I brought my kids to the kitchen. But then if I do it just once in a month, it's just like, it's not going to happen, you know. But then, like, I just say, okay, every Sunday you make your own fruit juice. Every Wednesday you come back from school, you make your own guacamole, and you know, just make it fun so that it just becomes a part of their routine. It's not like, oh my God, it happens once in a blue moon and all. So I think we just have to keep, you know, doing things so that these programs can just go on and on, even in our absence. And same for these, you know, when we go for cleanups and all, let's not do it just for on the Earth Day or something, you know. So we just try to make it as natural as possible. And so then where is this Atmic connection? So every step when we are taking, right, there is this Atma prompting us from within, because distractions are millions, you know. So instead of the seva, I can always go to a party, right? But then there is this flip of switch. The mind always distracts you, but then the Atma also prompts you from inside. So then we have to flip our switch. And so, you know, all the 5Ds that we discussed, the watch principle, you know, it takes a lot of energy to, you know, you say, okay, no, I am going to do this, you know. But then once, like we talked about that, like when we're trying to flip the switch, like from fear to love, from fear to enjoyment, you know, once, I think what came out was like, when you have so much faith in God, or you're like so determined, right, then it's easier to flip the switch. And then what is the outcome then? It is bliss, it is peace. And no matter how much energy you've spent, like you go to the seva, and then there are people they're so happy, like, they're so happy enjoying your Indian food. And I'm not an Indian, but then people come to me and say shukriya and all, which is like thank you and all. And it's so nice to hear that. And they're asking you, when are you coming next and all. And that just leaves you in that state of happiness, right? So the outcome is always bliss and peace when you rely on the Atma. So I have that much for to discuss eternal. We have very little time. Brother, you want to add something to this?
Yes. So if you go back to the slide, the first one, the 3 steps. So, yeah, 3 steps. Okay, no, the 3 steps. Okay. So now what happens is, remember, one of the qualities of the Atma is eternal. So you say, what is the connectivity towards us if Atma is eternal? So the whole idea is that we want to retain, we want to come to a stage in which we can experience that. So the direct expression of that eternal attribute is that whatever that we do, and my sister said it beautifully, in the greater good, the qualities, just take these 5 qualities. How are we able to sustain those qualities? We have sometimes sporadic determination. Sometimes today we are determined, tomorrow we are not. Sometimes we are very duty conscious today, but 3 days later it wanes. Even this program, you see, we started with 68, today we are 42. It's a talk about sustainability, it's already. So we basically, why is it that we are not able to sustain? If we can keep on sustaining our values and sustaining those qualities, we are entering into an area of where the Atma is expressing its eternal nature. So the thing is not flip and jump here, jump there. It is consistency in sadhana is what the whole idea is. So that is what you first take a recognition of all the positive qualities you have, and we now try and see how you can sustain them for longer periods of time. Then the second part of that thing is that whatever we are doing in life, we start to think about how it is. Like, for example, if you're working in the office, just because you're working in the office and let's say you resign, the next person who takes over, you don't bother, you don't care because you're already out of the organization, so why should I bother? But if you're working in the organization and say whoever takes over also will be able to take this idea and take it even further up. Even in the organization, for example, there are some people who take a chairman post or some coordinator's post. Until they are sitting on the chair, they will do that work. And then after they step down, then they say, no, what to do, brother? I'm not there, let others do. You see, when you have that attitude, you don't have the sustainability attitude, and you do not want to leave a legacy. So when you are leaving your chair, not only you should leave it and inspire the other person to sit on that chair and take it, but it should take it higher than you can. And you, without a position, you should be assisting that individual. Then it means that you're working from your Atma, not because of your function, because of your position, because of your mind, but you're working from that. That is what is meant by sustaining. With working without position, working without all these things, yet continuously being committed to his ideals. So that is leaving a legacy, leaving everything that you do, you think about next generation. Dogs and cats cannot do that. Only humans can think of this, where next generation, the world must become a better place. Once you have these 2 attitudes coming in, then you enter into continuously, you are in sustainable attitude. You always want to think of everything to be for a longer period. Even look, satsang, this satsang is 4 years now, in this. So we didn't hit and run. 4 years, we continued like this. So sustainability, ability to just move on. Everything also, we want something longer, something bigger, something greater, not just jump here, jump there. But that's why Baba said, mind is like a mad monkey. We keep jumping from tree to tree. We should not do that. So everything should be long-term sustainable. Once you have these 3 attitudes and expressions coming forward, then we are entering into experiencing the eternal nature of the Atma itself. You will find bliss, you'll find joy, you'll find happiness, as what sister said. That is the quality of this eternal thing. It is not something very esoteric or far away. It's something practical and down to earth, and it's real. So like that, for example, another way of living is that if you live your life in such a good way, you will become a good person. And like Mahatma Gandhi, you see today non-violation is synonymously connected to Mahatma Gandhi. Even generations later, we still remember Mahatma Gandhi. He has outlived his body, so he's eternal all the time. Eternal. Everyone will remember Swami. Everyone remembers Ramakrishna. Everyone remembers and continues to be inspired because they attain a status of eternal. See, eternal. So therefore, in our life also, we become good, sacrifice until we reach immortality. Immortality means your name, you're not immortal like that. You forever your name inspires other people. Forever you leave a benchmark. Forever you leave a legacy. That is the kind of Satisai devotees and Satisai aspirants and spiritual aspirants should be. Always concerned about the future. So don't think of something just for this today. Somehow or other I must manage this position, and then just leave 2 years. I struggle to hold, and then Saira, thank you, I left. That is not the attitude a position should be holding. You should be holding it so much conviction, and somebody else taking over. You not only he's inspired by action, he wants to do something higher, and you are continuously behind that individual to make it happen. Then you see the flowering of everything, and you stand back. Need not worry that recognition did not come to you. Need not worry whether name and fame did not come to you. Nothing. You are just standing there enjoying all these things. Like that expression of this is what a winner. This is what mission drivers should be going forward.
Thank you so much. That was so nice. So do you want to take any questions right now? Anyone has any questions?
Yeah. You already exceeded 1 minute.
Yeah. If not, we'll go to the homework. So the homework is to take any activity or program that you're involved in and check all that apply as it relates to sustaining your involvement. Like, we discussed the 5Ds. How do you sustain the 5Ds in your activity? Can you put a check mark to all of this, right? And then how do you plan to continue the activity, like even in your absence? Like as brother said, like you step down from the post, but then how do you ensure that the legacy that you've left is continued further, right? So brother, do you want to elaborate on that? Or
Yeah. So the homework is whatever that you go back and do, look at your level. You see, gauge your meter. Are you a very determined person? So when is your determination fading? Why is it fading? So look and check back and see how it can be consistent factor. Yeah, are you a person who dedicates everything to God? How much is it dedicated? Because when more and more you dedicate, you should be a happier person, joyful person. Are you a duty person? Are you a disciplined person? Your discrimination, is it always sharp and strong? So keep checking on this file like a fuel meter, gauge meter, and see where is it weak and then intervene. So in the next 1 month, look at all those points, and then you'll be able to catch yourself. When you come next month in the satsang, you say, yes, I found myself at certain points and I inspired myself to go forward. If you can catch any one of these 5 fading away and you do interventions to sustain this 5 to move forward, then the homework is good. That means you got a check balance to make sure this 5 is tuned up, so to speak. This is the first 5.
yeah, there's a question, brother Bharat. Go ahead.
I don't exactly have a question, but I just want to let everybody know that in one of Dr. Surya's going satsang with the Malaysian group on Tuesday evenings, one of the ladies earlier said how blessed we are to have this satsang, and it's so true for the simple reason. One of the Chinese sisters said that one of her friends about 20 years ago, she saw Dr. Surya's going give a talk. While he was giving a talk, she saw an aura around him. So that was so beautiful. That's why we are so blessed to have him.
Okay.
Thank you. That's true. That's true. No doubt about it. Okay.
This is all very embarrassing. Okay.
All right. So we have our next episode, episode 7 on June 2nd. So we hope to see you there. And I hope we'll all take some time to think about our 5Ds and where we are falling back and where we need to work on. So we'll meet you next time. I'll just end with Om Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you all. Sai Ram.
Thank you.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Thank you, sir.
Sai Ram.